My name is Tiffany Utoft, and I teach in Northern Colorado in what I like to call a tweener district. We're not quite a big district, but we're not a little one either.
I'm Kimba Rael, and I teach in San Luis. We are the oldest town in Colorado, and we are very, very, very small, right down at the border with New Mexico.
And I teach math.
I teach English.
I was involved in MDC.
I've been involved in LDC.
And in my world, kids walk into my classroom, and most of them hate it. Why? Because I teach math. So, what do? I'm always searching. I'm buried in this struggle. I'm looking for things to ignite and spark a passion that I know that they have. But that can be overwhelming at days, and really rather difficult. So, I got this opportunity to be involved in the work of MDC. And all of a sudden, things started to make sense. On one occasion, my students were involved in an MDC task, and they were making meaning between two very different things. They had this geometric tile structure and these algebraic equations. And they had divided into these two camps. And they had thinking, and they had ideas, and they were battling each other. They were fighting it out. They were pushing, prodding, and trying to bring either consensus or clarity to their work. And they were struggling. So much so that one of my very, very sassy students at the back of the room finally just went, "Miss Utoft, this would be so much easier if you would just tell us the right answer. This would take so much less time if you would just tell us how to do this." And as a teacher, I had to fight that knee-jerk reaction we have to be the expert, right? To impart that teacher wisdom upon these students. But I realized in that struggle, they were learning and they were owning it. And that feeling that I had, well, it was echoed because my students were outraged. What? There's one right answer? There can't be one right answer. We all have good thinking. What is happening here? And then off to my right, I saw this student of mine. And I'm going to give you a little background on him. He walked into my class the first day and he said, "I will fail this class. I have failed every time." And so I saw this student to my right, and he had kind of sparked something with his team. And a little reluctantly, I got him in front of his peers, and he shared with the class how their ideas, they were the same. And he stood up there, and he imparted this knowledge and this learning on his peers. And when asked, "How did you come up with this?" He didn't have this prideful answer. I kind of wish he did, but he didn't. He said, "I was listening to your guys' ideas, and I was talking to my table. And together we made sense of this." And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to happen. So I went on this relentless journey. I didn't want it to be about one day, or in one class, or one lesson. I wanted this to happen always. And I needed people to help me make it happen. I needed colleagues to bounce ideas off. I needed a filter for all the stuff I was trying to do. I needed collaboration to move forward.
In a small district, I get the opportunity to be students' English teacher for 4 years. That's a big responsibility. And I've noticed these patterns, right? The students come in as freshmen and they're a little nervous, not quite sure what to make of things, and they try really, really hard. And then as sophomores, they kind of start spreading their wings in high school a little bit. They get a little more rowdy and a little squirrelier in class and kind of harder to reel them in. But by juniors, by the time it's their junior year, I have them. And we can move forward and do this really incredible, meaningful work. But a couple of years ago, my juniors, I didn't have them. I lost them. I couldn't figure out how to reel them in. I was trying to engage them in all these different ways. I was trying to find new and creative texts and different strategies in the room. And no matter what I did, I just felt like I was beating my head against a brick wall. And I happened to be going through my master's program at the time, and I had an opportunity to talk to one of my professors about this struggle. And she says, "Well, have you asked them why?" Wow. Had I? You know, I did that little survey at the end of the year. Oh yeah, what do you want to see next year? What could I do to improve? How can I make this better for you? But I hadn't really asked them. And the next day we were in a circle having a text discussion, and it was like trying to pull teeth out of them because they weren't quite prepared for the discussion, and I just dropped everything. And I said, tell me, what is going on? Why is this not working? What can I do? What can we do to make this better for you? And it was such a real, honest, powerful conversation with them about what motivated them to read, where they would read and be able to process. There were some very interesting misconceptions about writing that came out. They preferred writing at home because they didn't have to think when they wrote. That was kind of interesting. But that's what I needed. Isn't that what some of these standards are all about when it comes to speaking and listening? Is learning how to ask the right questions and learning how to listen to the answers and then apply it to new situations. This is the heart and soul of MDC and LDC strategies. And I realized that that's what I needed too. It wasn't just my students who needed that, I needed that. There was this thread throughout my entire process of I tried to figure out how to engage them. I tried to answer these questions, but I can't do it alone. And integration has given me the opportunity to have these really meaningful conversations with colleagues and to learn how powerful that collaboration can be and how that can move me forward and move my students forward to be better in learning.
But it's not just about having conversations. It's about having the right conversations. I come from a place where we could pull people together, but then we got stuck. You know what we got stuck on. Those conversations that plague collaboration. When is the bus showing up? Why does the basketball team uniforms look like this? All of these things, which sure are important to schools, but they're not about teaching and learning. So it was about getting really intentional around our conversations. Common Core provided us a common language. It provided us a platform to have these conversations, to understand how tasks and lessons and problems could bring that vision to life. It was about understanding student misconceptions and strategies to overcome them. Our conversations had to become intentional. We couldn't just allow each other to no longer focus our work. As colleagues, we had to push each other to really refine and articulate and think about student learning to move it forward.
It's a really funny thing about teachers. We know what works for kids. We talk about strategy all the time and what kinds of things help promote student learning, but then we don't apply it to adults. We don't think about how to intentionally plan out things, and we don't push each other to perform better on a regular basis. We need to overcome the fear that we have of pushing our colleagues forward, pushing them and pulling them along with us on this journey, because right now we're in the thick of it, trying to figure out how we're going to make this work and how we're going to sustain this, and really realizing how tough integration and LDC and writing a module really is. I was just at the SREB Common Core Networking Conference, and that was a really common thread that was coming out of that, is realizing that we're still in that mindset of just trying to find that solution. Oh, I have Module Creator, woohoo! I don't have to write it, it's all there for me. And not making those connections and not drilling it deeper and seeing how intentional we need to be, how we need to make these links between our standards and our practices and our mini tasks. But we need time to do this. We need time to collaborate as teachers on a daily basis, because we need to have those opportunities, to have those aha moments, to have those realizations at the right time and in the right place where it clicks. Like when my professor said, well, did you ask the kids? That's fundamental, but I had to hear it at the right time in the right place, and you can't orchestrate that. And so In this room, we have people who are knee-deep in this work of changing the culture of education. But we also need to change the culture of how time is structured for teachers. We have an obligation and an opportunity to make this work and to rethink how we can do this.
It's really about giving the time to have intentional, thoughtful conversations and discourse about how to sustain student learning in classrooms all across America.
Time to collaborate, time to observe each other, time to experiment together so that this change can take root in learning for ourselves and our students.
So we challenge you, let's find the time.
Thank you.